Faith can apply to so many things, but few would recognize that faith can actually apply to fashion, being one of those things. I am so excited about today's guest, who has been helping me elevate my own personal style because she has learned how to blend faith and fashion. And on a word from God, she messaged me one day on social media and said, "I'd love to work with you." And so here we are,
Yes.
not only working together on building my wardrobe,
Yes.
but also on building God's kingdom
Yes.
through your willingness to come and stop by the Dr. Grace Show. So Tamasa Easley,
Amen.
you are not only a fashionista, a
Oh my God.
stylist, a business owner, but a minister of the
Yes.
gospel.
Yes.
And you do so many things. So please, let's jump right in. Tell us how you took faith and began to apply that to letting God use you in fashion.
Wow. Well, thank you for having me. It's a blessing to be here. How did I take faith and apply that to fashion? So I have been wanting to work in the area of fashion since I can remember. I remember being a little girl, by little girl I mean maybe 11 years old, and I was obsessed with my mother's fashion magazines, and I would try to draw what was in the magazines, and I loved it. So I was going around saying, I'm gonna be a designer when I was maybe 12 and 13 years old. So in my late 20s, my journey with God took a great turn, and I learned through a group of lovely people, wonderful people that kind of led me to Christ, learned that he had great plans for you. And so as I was learning that and I was getting to know him, my journey became clearer as far as what I was supposed to do here on this earth. And so before I knew it, I was sketching again. I hadn't done that since I was young. I was sketching again. And it's like the Lord just gave me visions of what I was going to do next. And so shortly thereafter, I ended up starting my own site and launching a Christian clothing company. And that was back in 2014.
Amazing, amazing. So I do know from a personal experience with you, and we've done some fittings, that you will stop and pause in the middle of getting dressed, putting the jewelry on, playing with the hair, and minister. So how have you seen God use you while you're helping people package themselves, put on the clothes, and look their best? How have you seen God interrupt some of your sessions and touch the lives of people through your words and your ministry?
That's such an exciting question. So I will say that the Lord very vividly and very clearly told me right before I started this journey of style, and he said to me, "I want my people to service my people." And so that for me, I mean, I'd already, being an entrepreneur and having a faith-based clothing line, I wasn't unfamiliar with mixing him into business and making sure that he's the center of everything that I do. But when he said that to me, I said, oh, okay, this is not about clothing. This is not about earrings and shoes. This is about your kingdom being advanced. This is about you have things that you need to get into this earth and you need your people to do it. So I go into any relationship, any business relationship with the mindset of, okay, Lord, what is the purpose here? And so, just like when I reached out to you, I didn't really know what to expect.
Right.
I really didn't, but I was like, Lord, I'm going to be obedient. And since then, from day one, from our first meeting, it has been so clear to me, like, okay, I see the ministry that's happening here. And it's a two-way street. You minister to me, I minister to you, but what brought us together was, hey, can I style you? Would you mind?
Right.
So, yeah, that is how he interrupts it all the time, but it is my great honor to allow him to do so. That's my purpose, so.
I love it. And I think it's so important that people understand that all ministry isn't behind the pulpit.
Right.
And that's a huge part of what God has called me to do, is to show people, here are examples of ways that God can move.
Yes.
And we love to quote the scripture, those of us that are familiar with the Bible, that Paul said, I become all things to all men,
Yes.
that I might win some. But do we really understand that God could become a basketball player through the life of a person.
Right.
He could become a fashion model. He could
Yes.
become a stylist,
Yes.
a preacher, a singer, a grocery store owner.
Absolutely.
God can use anything. So you have seen firsthand that God can use the tool of fashion to be an opportunity or an open door for ministry. So what would
Yes.
you say to someone who's battling, saying, I feel a call to ministry in the more traditional terms,
Okay.
but I don't think that this thing I'm seeing, this vision I'm seeing, lines up with what I've seen in church. And they're battling a little bit with God using them outside of the four walls of traditional ministry.
I will say this. My journey became clear to me as I chased after God, as I seek ye first the kingdom of God. And I I can't even say I knew what I was doing at that moment. I just knew that I had a hunger for him and I wanted to be fulfilled. And so I spent majority of my time with him outside of going to work and, having time with family. But anytime I could get, I was spending with the Lord. I was spending in prayer. I was spending in the Word. And it was in those intimate settings with God, just wanting to get to know him, is where everything was made clear. So for anybody that is kind of knowing that they're called to ministry, but it's not in a traditional sense, or they don't even have a blueprint for it, because I didn't have a blueprint for it back in 2014. I would say steep your life in the kingdom, steep your life in God. Seek first the kingdom, continue to seek first the kingdom. And at one point, you are going to have to put some corresponding action to that too.
Right.
So at one point, you are going to have to take a step of faith. So continue to do what you're doing and chasing after God. But also know that there's going to come a season where some corresponding faith is going to have to be put to the plan. Just like I had to reach out to you,
Right.
and I didn't even really have half of what was going to happen, but I knew that the Lord had told me for weeks to reach out to you, and it took me a while to do it because I'm going back and forth with him like, well, I'm sure she's, she doesn't need my services.
Right.
And here we are, beautiful relationship, friendship, professional relationship, and I'm thankful to God. So, yeah. Seek
Don't
after
let
him.
fear get in the way.
Don't let fear get in the way. Seek after him, and at some point be ready to put some corresponding action to what you actually see. And you cannot be worried about what people are going to say.
I love that. That is so important because you're going to feel vulnerable sometimes. I know even when God called me to TV, to writing books, to speaking, I didn't feel ready. I didn't feel educated enough, pretty enough, this enough, that enough. And I kept getting words from various people, even to the point where I was being called disobedient. Like, you're not listening to God. And I had to say, God, there's so many other people that are doing this. And one of the things one of my mentors, Dr. Raymond E. Allen Sr., taught me is he said, Sarah, how many books of the Bible talk about the life of Jesus? And ultimately, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John all have a different perspective of the same person. Well, the book of Sarah, the book of Tamasa.
Wow.
So that also can relate to our various businesses. There might be 1,000 stylists in Nashville, but you have something very unique and specific that was for me and for the other people you serve and those that you have yet to serve. So I think it's so important that we talk about that fear part, because the fear is not only keeping you from the person that you're meant to connect with, but also from that person is being kept from what they need from you.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's a great time to really take a personal inventory and say, God, what is it? What is it that you are allowing fear to stop you from doing? Because you don't think you're this enough, that enough, experienced enough. My graphic business, I have a creative agency. And the very first client was the very first client. I had to start with someone. So with that said, before we go to break, tell me a little bit about your services. What is it that you do for people as far as being a stylist? What does that look like?
So for me, and the word stylist is broad, and people take it and they make it their own, because you can be a stylist and you can also be a personal shopper, or vice versa, or offer both services. So for me, it's about meeting people where they are. Number one, I am not out to transform anybody. Now, I'm not that type of stylist. My thing is, what is it that you like? and let's add some bling, some glamour,
Yeah.
some enhancements to it. So I do offer styling, and I also offer personal shopping. So you have some people that are like, I don't even want to shop. I don't even want to have to look.
I'm one of those people.
I know.
I don't want to be bothered. Like,
So not only will I take what's in your closet or something that you have and say, let's mix this up, let's dress this up, let's figure out how this services you in this season, or does this outfit, does this blazer, does this sweater still service you in this season for what the Lord has called you to do? And if not, let's find another home for it. So not only do I take what you have and what you like and things that you currently have in your possession, but I'll also say, hey, I saw this on you. I saw this silhouette. I saw this print. Have you ever thought about wearing this color? And so I also personal shop as well. So I do a little bit of both.
so really the person can say, this is what I need. I know for me, I was like, I don't even know what it looks like to have a stylist. And I definitely have a missionary budget, right? TV missionary. And I said, I don't know how I feel about buying brand new clothes. And you said, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We'll start with what you have. And it was very interesting to see how just draping a necklace with a simple black dress. And I'm like, I look like a totally different person just adding this one piece. So we'll definitely have to show some clips of our TBN styling day where I was doing that mini documentary and we threw that together. Rather, I should say you threw that together very last minute and took what I had. And then I like how you're able to send me some links. Okay, here, look at this. And I know one of my previous filmings, I wore a vest. I would have never picked it. It just never would have crossed my mind. And then when I wore it, I was like, wow, where has this been all my life? I love this. I need 10 of these.
Yeah.
So you can kind of stretch maybe someone like myself that's a little conservative and not wanting to go too far, but just here's this little piece, and then slowly I'm looking at my wardrobe and I have more things I can throw together.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, Sarah, you a little jazzy today." Okay. So it's amazing. So we'll be back in just a moment. We are talking with Tamasa Easley about faith and fashion. We'll be right back. So we are here in the studio today speaking with Tamasa Easley about faith and fashion. And for the first time at 46 years old, I have been working with her as a stylist. I never had the courage to even try that. I wasn't even sure what it looked like, and I definitely didn't want anyone trying to change me. So we were just talking on the break about how one of the things that I said to you was, look, I worked hard to become who I am. I even posted a social media reel where I was like, look, I'm going in the house. I don't know what this is about to look like. And it's not that I feel like I had this perfect look, but I know that I've had a lot of people that tried to push me down different style trajectories, if you will. Like, well, you're from this area, so you should dress like this, or you're going here, so you should dress like that. And I did kind of find a place I felt comfortable, but yet I still felt like it could be a little bit better. So I love how you said, that's fine. I'm not trying to change you, like you said before the break, but I'm not trying to transform you. But you were able to elevate the me that I wanted to be. And I gave you some adjectives and descriptive terms, like I'm looking for this kind of look and that kind of look. And the little pieces that just brought it right to that, you were able to do that. So talk to me a little bit more about what does that look like when a person says, okay, Tamasa, I've never worked with a stylist, or I've had some bad experiences, but I would like to kind of change. How do you pull them out of them?
Yes, it's different for everybody, and that's the glorious thing about it, that the Lord graces me to meet each person where they are, and it's a different experience every time. I don't have a blueprint. The blueprint that I use for Dr. Sarah Grace, I can't use for Jenny or anybody else. I have to allow the Lord to guide me on how to steward Dr. Sarah Grace. So number one, it's the most exciting part of the job that I get to, with every person, have a different experience. But number two, it is about taking what you already feel comfortable in and saying, let's do something different with it. Let's do something fun with it. So for you, you have a very standard, everyday professional look that I love. And so what I'm getting you to do nowadays is let's just jazz it up.
Just
So
accessorize a little bit.
we're going to get all the accessories. We're going to get all the earrings. People don't know I'll have 15 pair of earrings just for me to have you put on all 15 pair of earrings and say, okay, let's go back to the first one.
Right.
That's what I put Dr. Sarah Grace through some days. But for you, it's accessories. For you, it's taking little pieces or the pieces that you already have right now in this stage and making them, better. And then as you continue to grow, because you're not going to stay the same, person with the same characteristic, as you continue to grow, you're going to want something different. And then at that point, we're going to elevate her. And we're just going to keep doing it. So it's about starting with meeting people where they are, starting with where they are comfortable, and then we're going to elevate and accessorize and make it bigger from there. So.
And it makes a difference. Small things definitely make a difference. And even dressing for your size. I know I think I sent some things, well, what about this? And it's like, well, you're very, very classy about it. Well, based on your size, this probably works better. And sometimes we just don't know. And I'm learning more how to dress for my size. For those of you that don't know, I'm 5'2" in real life. And a lot of times when I get off the airplane and someone picks me up, maybe they invited me to preach from social media, they're like, oh, you're so little.
Yes.
And some things just don't work. So I'm learning new cuts, like this one particular dress, just a simple black wrap dress. And I'm like, this is my favorite dress now because it fit my body type. So there really is kind of a skill and a science to how to dress too, where you may think, oh, well, I'm short. I don't want to wear all this long stuff. But the long stuff is actually what makes me look taller. And this is not my area. So now I'm like, just put it in my what do you call it? My checkout box, put it in my thing, and I'll look at it. And as long as it doesn't make me gas, we'll get it, and I'll just trust the process. And I think that's important too, is being willing to say, okay, I know you said pearls once. I was like, I don't do pearls. And you're like, just try it. And then I got this necklace in the mail with the pearls and the gold, and I'm like, oh, I love this. This is not what when you said pearls, I'm picturing like these great big fat, like we're golfing or having tea at the golf course, and it was something totally different. So I would also say, hey, if you decide to work with Tamasa or another stylist, give them a little bit of room, because she's introduced some new things to me that I actually ended up really loving, but I was kind of afraid of trying something different. And really, what's the big deal? Live a little, have some fun. So I love it. So let's pivot back a little bit to the ministry side.
Okay.
So how do you see God continuing to use this gift of touching people, styling people, interacting with people in your future? Do you have a vision for more ways that God wants to use your gift for fashion?
Yeah, I think that, so right now, in the season that I am in right now, I fully believe that he is going to continue to use fashion and styling just to open the doors. Now, what happens after I walk through the door, I don't really know. I don't have that full picture yet. Just like with you, this was opening the door, and now, again, we've, sat at my home, and we've had talks, and we've prayed together, and it's blossomed into something very beautiful. And so, and being able to even watch you, I get to get a front row seat to watch you do ministry, and I'm like taking notes, and I'm looking and I'm being a student really even of how you are maneuvering through things, whether you knew that or not. I don't think you did, but he's he is such a multifaceted God that he will take one thing and flourish it and use it for something else. And so right now, what I know is that he's going to continue to use this to get me to the door. And once I'm there for service. Right. And if, we have a fitting where we actually get some work done, that's great. But if we have a fitting where we just prayed and studied scriptures and, I cried on your shoulder and you cried on mine, whatever the case may be. But the door he uses the door of fashion, and he uses the door of styling and all of that, so that true ministry can take place. And it's not just, sometimes it is us praying. Right. And sometimes it's you realizing that you do look good in this silhouette. You never thought that you would, but now you do, and that does something for your confidence. That does something for your mental state. Like, wow, I never thought that I would look good in a wrap dress, or I never thought I would look good in these earrings. And so ministry, again, he's so multifaceted.
Right.
Ministry is happening at every
At all
single stop,
times.
at all
Yeah.
times. My thing is the willingness that I have to continue to keep myself in check about being willing, because
Right.
I was kind of disobedient with you, because I told you,
Yeah,
he
you
told
took
me
too
that.
long. No, I'm just playing.
I did. I took a long time. I should be ashamed. No, I took a long time. And so my goal right now is just to enter into another level of willingness and hearing him and obeying him, so that he can use this however he sees fit, and I'm along for the ride.
I love it. And even on my end, my prayer has been for a while, God, just make me the woman you want me to be, inside and out, because I don't know. Just like you can testify before we open up the cameras, I pray, Lord, I don't know how to do TV, but you do.
Yes.
And so even when it comes to my appearance, it's something I recognize that one of my testimonies, for those who have followed me the longest, they know I've went through some phases because I packaged myself according to the identity I thought I was.
Right.
And so as God has been showing me who I really am, there is a packaging that comes with that. And so I want to talk about that a little bit, because sometimes people can get offended when we get the clothing conversation. It's like God looks at the heart. True. Do you believe there's a specific packaging that sometimes people need to take on in order to be received in the atmospheres that God's sending them to?
Absolutely. And I'm going to quote one of my favorite scriptures here. Paul talks about in the book of 1 Corinthians. He said, and it blew my mind when I found this, but he talks about how when I am witnessing to the weak, I find something in common with the weak. And when I'm witnessing to somebody else, I find something in common with them. And then he goes on to say, don't cause people to stumble by holding them to a certain standard when they're not there yet. And I'm paraphrasing.
Right.
But that's basically what he's saying. And so there are certain rooms that you will walk into that you will need to look a certain way for.
Right.
Not because you're looking for the acceptance of people, but because the Lord has a plan, and he has a plan for you in that room. And so for him to get that plan, and for him to be able to advance the kingdom in that particular space, there is certain things he's going to wear, there's certain things that he wants you to wear, certain things he wants you to exude through your outfit, and to say through your outfit that will bring the right person to you so that you can minister to them. One of the things that I've said since 2014, since launching my faith-based clothing company, was that my goal is that people know who you stand for when you walk in the room. That's my goal. So yes, the Lord is interested in what you have on your body, because there is ministry to be done at the grocery store. There's ministry to be done at the gas station. There's ministry to be done on a TV set. There's ministry to be done in this parking lot out here.
Right.
And we don't know what it's going to take for that ministry to take place, but God knows. So it's as simple as wear this scarf today. It's as simple as wear this blazer today. You don't know this. I had intention on putting you in all black today.
Oh.
and I'm looking at this color like, wow, Lord, this is so great. And I'm so glad that I listened to the voice of God in picking that picking that blazer. But absolutely, he cared. We have been taught that he doesn't care about the little things.
Right.
That's not true. He does care about the little things. And there's sometimes caring about the little things from him is just so that it takes the pressure off for you. Rather than you having to toil over what am I wearing to this event, you can walk in your closet and say, Holy Spirit, what am I wearing to this event? And he highlights some things for you. And then you get to go to the event and minister because you have on the very thing that he pointed out for you, and somebody notices it, and now this conversation has started. He's so multifaceted. So
I agree. And I think it's sticky in the respect that, yes, God does look at our hearts. That's God. People look at our packaging. And I don't believe that you have to try to meet, and I think you've already kind of said this, but you don't have to meet the expectations of people, but there is a prophetic vision that God has for you, and it is based on where you're going. And not everyone's called to look super conservative. Not everyone's called to look super radical. I have some friends that are in music industry, and they like to do all the wild everything, you know, but there's still like a level of modesty.
Sure.
But it might be louder, more
Yes.
flamboyant. It works for that. But if I'm called to go into rooms where I will immediately be rejected if I take that kind of appearance, like a rock star appearance into the boardroom, it doesn't always work. So rather than me going in there going, well, you just need to take it, this is just who I am,
Right.
God, because that is who I used to be. I had to get, that's when I said I had to work hard to get here, to get to the point where I was dead to my opinion.
Yeah.
Lord, how do you want me to look? And God spoke to me one day, and he basically let me know in his own way, you're stuck in an old place, and I want to take you to a new place. But some of the people that you're going to connect with, they're not going to receive that. And so now, when I obeyed God and I followed his instructions, I cleared out 2/3 of my closet, threw away all of my jewelry, started completely back over. And that's even testifies to like you reaching out and blessing me, because I obeyed God when he said get rid of all of it, because he wanted to bring me down to a basic place where I first of all learned to love myself and be okay with the skin I was in without all of it. And as I've grown inside now, he's like, okay, now I can add a little bit. And then when I go into these rooms, it wasn't just about what was outside or on me, but it is about that feeling like I belong in this room.
Yeah.
And he knows what to put on you. And I want to say this, and we're at the end of our time, but, you know, I think about Esther. Xerxes, the king of Persia, needed a wife, but the kingdom needed an advocate. So God allowed Esther to get into a position for a specific purpose for the kingdom of God. And King Xerxes wasn't of the Jewish people. He wasn't of Esther's people, but God positioned her in a place, fulfilling an assignment as a wife, but ultimately she became an advocate for God's people. And long story short, for those of you that don't know the Bible, you can look it up online. She ended up saving God's people. So your position is not always going to be for what your preference. It could be for God's purpose. And so I want to say to you today, whether it's being a stylist or, as we said earlier, any other position in society, any other career, anything, you don't know how God can use something that seems monotonous or it seems like it's just a preference. It could be a gifting God has placed in you. Maybe you're a painter and God is going to allow you to paint pictures for somebody in the hospital who is going through chemo, or any gift that God is giving you. Tamasa Easley is an example of someone that said, God, you can use any of my gifts to fulfill your purpose. So I want to encourage you to take time to take inventory of your own gifts and see how God may want to use them outside of the box of tradition or religion to touch people's lives, because that very gift, that very position God places you in through that gift could be fulfilling purpose in God's kingdom. So as we close today, please tell us how we can get in touch with you.
So you can follow me on Instagram at Tamasa Renee. That's the word one spelled out, and then Tamasa Renee. And then on my Instagram, I have all of my links. I have my links to my blog and just different things like that. And I do really good with trying to keep those updated. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tamasa, for coming on. Thank you for helping me get it together, elevating my style. And I know that we will love to have you back another time. Maybe one day we can do a fashion show here on the set.
Absolutely.
But keep doing the great work. You are making a difference. And the last thing I will say, it's not just the fashion, but the support that your presence brought into my life, to have somebody say, I'm not just here getting your hair together, getting your flyaways all together, but I'm praying for you. That has made a difference in my life and the work that I'm doing today.
God.
So thank you so much for obeying God. And you all make sure you obey God when he touches your heart to reach out to somebody, because it may be bigger than what you think. So we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yes.